Hi, it's Keith. We're going to start here in just a few minutes. Thank you for joining me. Watch this little clip that's going to play in our intro still. It gives you a little behind the scenes of a video that I did here. It's longer on the channel, but here's some clips of it, so enjoy. And so we're actually, you can see the setup here as we're talking. We have his mountain biking gear out here, and we're going to take a photograph of this. And then we're also going to take a photograph, high key, of his snowboard gear, and we'll show you footage of that. Real quickly, I want to show you my setup. I have two Photo Deox soft boxes, and they're really nice. They got double diffusion. I have some Manfrotto stands. These are really nice because they hook together, so they're really compact, so you can stack them. And then there's the other soft box. I do have some overhead lights. I have 3 papers that I can hang up here. You can see this is the white. We're almost out of it. And behind that, I have some black and some green, and then I also have a gray. And so we're going to take a shot. I'm using a C-stand, and we're going to be shooting wirelessly from my iPhone, so I'm going to be snapping the shots once we get the Canon 5D, which you've seen here before on my channel. And not a lot of light, but there it is, getting ready to be tethered to my iPhone. And once we get it working right, then we're going to mount it right here. And that's the Manfrotto friction arm and the super clamp and the camera bracket right there. And the reason I have those, obviously, is because it gives me the ability to make the minor adjustments, and I use those in my studio all the time. So here's some behind the scenes shots of us shooting the photograph on my DJI action camera. And so shout out to DJI, it's a great tool as well. And I'm gonna actually be going around and giving you some B-roll as well with my little DJI mobile gimbal. It's version 1. So you're gonna see some equipment as well as some cool photographs when we're done, and maybe a little time-lapse video to go along with this. Okay, so the goal of this shoot is we're going to take my Canon 5D, and it is mounted up here on the C-stand, and I've got the Manfrotto super clamp right there, and I've got the friction arm, and it is shooting down, and I can change this on my phone. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a number of still shots of his gear, a few shots of him in pre-gear, and then the last shot's going to be green screen. Believe it or not, it's going to look like he's still laying down, getting those downward shots, but it's not going to be. It's going to be a green screen faking the downward shot, and then all of a sudden, because it's on green screen, he'll be able to slide off the screen. You get to see the behind the scenes. No one else is going to know how we did it unless they find this video. So, or you can share it with a friend, but that's what we're attempting to do. So now we still have a couple plainclothes shots to do. You can see the time lapse here, and also we've got the green screen shot, and I will talk you through that setup here in a few minutes. So stay tuned. I'll be right back. So here's my setup. I have a softbox, that's to provide light on my talent, which is my son. This is gonna light the green screen when we get it in position. This is gonna light the green screen. You can see my mounts and my chains. This is a Manfrotto setup. And so we're about to pull the green screen down, which is right up there. We're gonna put the white up, and we'll be back once we have the green screen in place, but I wanted to kind of show you my setup. I'll give you a better shot here of the setup. So here's high key. So this is kind of a 3 light I had set up for high key, and we're going to go to a green screen now and try it with 3 lights. We'll see. We may have to add a light, so I'll be right back. Well, so we did the slider shot. This is my son. So here's a look at the slider shot. Still shot, snowboard shot. And then here's a look at the final green screen footage. And if you want to check out Nathan Bennett's social media, you'll have to message me. So thanks, son, for doing this. You want to say anything before we go?
No, not really.
Not really. We'll catch you on the next video. Enjoy this. Welcome to another live stream right here in the studio. This is Life Journey Production Studios. I already see some people on. So, hey, Tony and Adam and Impartiendo. That's as far as I'm going to go. Welcome, you guys. It's going to be kind of a fun night tonight. Have a little bit different angle on the camera right now. I hope you recognize that. So we have a couple different ways we can go here tonight. And I'm actually going to be, Adam Tao's on here tonight. I'm actually using the macros on the Mix Effect app. And this app does a lot more than that, but that's what I'm doing right now. Windows open, just a little bit of peeking back there, but tried to adjust the lights in here so that works. So I want to welcome you. What we're going to talk about tonight is green screen. I don't know if you've ever done any green screen work with video or with photography, but we're going to talk about that tonight. Really, that's the main topic. We're also going to look into the Chroma Key feature inside the Upstream Keys and Blackmagic Design software, the control software. So, you know, there's lots of different uses for why you would use the Chroma Keyer. We'll talk a little bit about that tonight. I do want to take some questions tonight. Again, I want to welcome you for the live stream. I do want to kind of cut to the chase tonight and jump right in. So because we're going to talk about green screen tonight, I had to do some changing in the studio. I'm going to use both angles tonight, just so you know. So I have angle one. Let me use the macro here. Let me know if the audio's good in the chat real quick. I just want to make sure that the audio sounds good. I mean, it looks like it's good on my monitor, and just want to make sure you guys can hear me. But that's my intro. Again, lots of cool things. I got the chance to be on Adam Tao's channel on Saturday morning. So if you haven't seen that yet, go over and see that on Adam's channel. Again, shout out to Adam. He's here tonight. I was with Tony from Quick Tech Solutions, and he's here tonight. So go subscribe to both of those guys' channels. It was an absolute honor to be together. We were testing in Adam's studio, or Adam was testing. Tony and I were kind of guinea pigs. So we agreed to go on so Adam could bring us in, and he was doing some really cool stuff. I'll let you go to that video and check that out, and then like and subscribe there on Adam's channel. And if you're looking for IT background, like, you know, just lots of cool things about how to run the IT part of your studio, if you are live streaming, whatever you're doing, if you're setting up a home network, then that's something that you can definitely learn over on Tony Quick Tech Solutions channel. Also, on Adam's channel, there's tutorials on how to use MixEffects. MixEffect is an app that you can use to, on your iPad, on your iPhone, as well as the iPod Touch. You can actually use the control software remotely. So I could get up and go over to the stool and sit down using my iPad. So I could take that over and I could run my macros. I can switch different inputs. I can do just about everything and more with the app than you can do inside the software. Still a couple things that Adam's working on, and there's updates all the time. So check out that app as well. And again, that's you could either Google MixEffect or you could Google Adam Tao, and it should pop up and populate now. So anyway, so welcome tonight. I do want to show you the other camera angle. So I'll quit stalling. So here is going to be our other camera angle tonight. And hopefully my lips will still be in sync. So let me know. Obviously in the studio, when you change cameras, it's going to depend on how long the cable is. So when I go to camera, this is camera 1, and this is actually my Canon EOS R. And then the other camera is my Canon 5D Mark IV, and then later I'll show you what my setup here is in the studio on my Canon 5D Mark III, which I call the Skycam, and it's overhead. And so both of my cameras, camera 1 and camera 2, have monitors on top. And so I'm using some very, very short brackets so that when I look at the monitor just to make sure everything is broadcasting okay, I can also look right at the lens and look at you guys who are on with me tonight. So again, thank you. Green screen, right, is a way for us to do some high-tech things. So let's switch back to this other camera, camera 2. There you are. And again, I am tapping on those macros right on MixEffects. And so I love to be able to do that. And I can use the macros on my PC as well. I have my laptop right here. And I don't have a Mac in my studio. I do have an iPad, I do have an iPhone, but I don't have a Mac. I've used Macs before. Just like I say about Canon cameras, I'm not only into Canon. I actually install some Sony A6400s when I'm doing installs in some of the venues because I think it's a great focusing camera. It's got a great color science in it. And that camera is pretty inexpensive if you look online, that A6400, and it's been around for years now, and it's a great camera. So if you're into Nikon or Canon or whatever you're into, Sony, and there's lots of other obviously manufacturers like Blackmagic has their cinema cameras, and they are great cameras. I just happen to be a photographer that started with Canon, and I've just stuck to the Canon camp since I started shooting photographs and then doing video. Now I did have a Panasonic video camera. So I did own a video camera. It was 720p. I loved a bunch of things about that. I loved that it had XLRs, inputs for audio. Most of the cameras we're using today have just little 1/8" stereo jack inputs. Some cameras didn't even have those when the DSLRs first started shooting video. So you had to record audio separately and then just use a little microphone on the front of the camera to be able to sync up your audio later. So anyway, let me know in the chat right now if you have ever used a green screen in your studio. So Tony, have you ever used a green screen? Impartiondo, have you ever used a green screen? Adam, have you ever used green screen either for photography or for videography? I would love to know in the chat. And if you're watching this video recorded as it gets up on my channel, I would love to find out if you've used green screen for your studio or out in doing production. But again, it is a interesting conversation. So if you're taking notes, which is great, I do want to share a couple things with you. Number one, if you are using green screen, you need to be concerned about light. Not only the light on you, but the light on the green screen. I want to put a still image up here on the screen real quick. And I apologize. It's just, I'm going to disappear for a second. I do not have a DVE set up. So I'm just going to show you this real quick, and then we'll cut back to the same camera I'm on. Let's see. I'm going to put this in Media Player 2, sorry, right here. And then, oh, what just happened? Are you kidding me? How did that green screen get behind me? Something's wrong. Something's got to be completely wrong. How am I still in the image and I have my garage set up green screen in the background? Well, everything that you were looking at since I started this stream was I'm on a green screen. I'm lit properly, and I have a green screen behind me, and I'm able to key myself in and key the background out because the background behind me is all green. That's right. If we were to peek behind me right now, and I'm going to do that by bringing up camera 5. Oh, it's not camera 5, or did it time out? Sorry, let's cut back to this camera again. Let me double check this Canon camera. Oh, it's on. Sorry, it's in channel 3. I apologize. Is this my studio? Okay, so camera 3. So there is the green screen behind me. I could have kept you hanging all of this time, but I wanted to be able to let you in on the secret right away, because in my intro video tonight, I actually put in a clip from a video here on my channel that takes you through using a white background to do high key photography. Then we used the green screen in the garage, which is that shot you saw. I'll pop that back up here real quick. So there's my son right there from the video, and that's just an image that I copied the day that we were shooting. And again, I am using the Chroma key in the software to get rid of the green behind me. So why is light important? You can see in this image, there's 2 lights in the background. And when we shot this, we had up to 3 lights to light the green screen, because when I was doing some really technical keying, I wanted to make sure that I had proper light all the way across the screen. A lot of times when you're sitting like this and you drop an image like I had here, let me bring that image back in. And I've used this camera angle before here in the studio. So this is actually a shot from a video I recorded right here in the studio. And I just took a still image out of that video and I brought it in tonight so that I could use that as the background. So what we're doing is that we're taking my picture, right, video, because I'm live right now, and we're taking another picture behind me that's not live, and we're taking out the green that's behind me in this shot by using the Upstream key and using the Chroma Key feature. So I want to talk about it just for a minute, and then we're going to bring up the Chroma Key feature in the Blackmagic Design software. We're going to talk about a little bit about some of the settings that I'm using tonight. So lighting the green screen behind me is super important, because if you don't get it lit right, then it's going to be harder to key out the background. Obviously, the solid green, I'm not wearing any green. And so if I had green in this shot, right, if my microphone was green, or if I had green on my shirt, then I'd have to probably go to like a blue screen behind me, which you'll see if you ever watch the behind the scenes footage in some of the superheroes like the DC universe and the Marvel universe. If you watch those videos, you'll see Thor and different characters fighting, and they're on real set pieces, but behind them are these giant green screens or giant blue screens, depending on what they're trying to do, what their end result is. And so you have to light that properly. So in those giant studios, they're using lots of lights. And I think the biggest #1 mistake that people make when they're using a green screen is they're not properly lighting it. Now, I'm limited in my lighting tonight because I use my lights to live stream. So I still have my lights on the background on my Manfrotto Auto Pole 2, and they're back there. They're actually behind the green screen. And so let's just cut to camera 3 again here. So you can see me here. So I'll turn and kind of talk to the camera. So I only have this one light, but I took off the egg crate, and it's right here. Let me grab it. So normally I have this on it. It has diffusion on it, but this helps me keep the light, guys. This keeps the light from spilling over. These little square little boxes or octagon boxes, whatever you want to call them, they help keeping the light from spreading. But today is one of those times where I needed to take this off so I could get the light nice and even on the middle of the screen so it keys me out. I'm not really moving on the left or moving on the right, and I could actually crop myself out there. If I wanted to, I could crop all of that out so that I'm only having to do chroma key on just me, but you can see I'm moving all the way to the edges of the camera. And so as long as my frame has the green screen behind me, then I'm okay. So I haven't turned off the green screen or the chroma key yet, so you can see it, but let's go ahead and turn it off. And you can see I just disappeared because I'm turning Upstream Key 3, which is what I'm using for me. I'm turning that on and off. There's the background going. So if I take the background off and I still have the key on, you're just going to see the green screen. So I have my monitor here and it's now showing the green screen, but if I turn that key back on, then now you still see my monitor so I can interact. And what's really cool about this is if you have things like this behind you and you turn your chair completely around and you have the kind of quality of the Chroma Key feature that's inside the Blackmagic Design software and inside our ATEM, because I'm using a Blackmagic Design ATEM Extreme ISO or ATEM Mini Extreme ISO, even though there's nothing mini about it. I'm using that device and it has 4 upstream keys, and I'm using one of those keys to use the Chroma Key feature. And what I'm doing is I'm using it to remove the green behind me. And without it, you'll see the green, but if I turn it on, I'm removing the green behind me. And that's how this feature works. So having pretty even light. Now you notice that I have it overexposed above me. Well, there's a reason for that. I did that on purpose because, let me bring the picture back up, right? It's kind of really bright up there above the houses, which is outside my window. Now that's not live right now. That is a photograph from months ago. But if I was to open that window this time of day, that's about how much light you get. So I really kind of wanted it to be a little brighter on the green because that influences what things look like. And then I also have to have light on me to separate myself from the background. And you want to be pretty far away from the green screen. So let's turn that off again, and I'm going to get up. Now watch, I'm this far away from the green screen. Now I'd like to be farther, but that's all the room I have. I have chairs behind it. It's at an angle in my studio. So I had to figure out exactly how I was going to get this big green screen. It's 9 feet wide, and it's because I shoot normally in my garage. Now I have 10 feet wide, but with my shelves and everything that are on the sides of these shots, and I'll cut back to camera 1. So I have, what did I do here? Camera 1. Camera 1 is now no longer, that macro is no longer working. But so I have shelves on that side. I can cut to camera 1 right here. So let me do this and go like this. Move my macros here. This should work. Yeah, so that's this camera angle, and I still wanted the logo on, so that's the one key I don't have to turn off. All the other keys, I'm using all 4 of my keys right now. I have one of my keys that's displaying the background, and I have the other 2 keys. I'm using those as well in this live broadcast. So all 4 of my keys are being used. And so again, you're going to have to work around some of the limitations if you have an ATEM Mini Pro, ATEM Mini, or ATEM Mini Pro ISO. Obviously, you can do so much more if you invest in an Extreme or something that has multiple upstream keys, because they're the ones that have the Chroma Key feature. So back to camera 2 here. So I'm keyed out right now, and I set up a macro. So anytime I cut to this camera, it's putting the image in the background. It's making sure the keys are turned on. And this is exactly why you would use macros. And because of the way things are directed, I'm actually having to move further to my right than I normally do if I'm in my traditional shot. So now if I was to take all this stuff off, So let's turn all of this stuff off. And you can see I'm actually adjusting the light on me inside the feature of the keys as well. So, so we'll turn all those off. I can turn the logo off too, but I'm going to leave that on here. And now I'm going to adjust the camera. And there you go. So this is what it would look like if I did not have myself zoomed in. You can see that's a long green screen. It's in here sideways. That's one angle. Here is the other angle. Oops, that didn't work. So let me cut back to 3 and turn these off. So that's the other angle. So again, because I have a limited space, this is about a 10 by 11 room. I'm very limited in what I can actually do in here. And so if you change these angles like I did, here's what you get. You can see my softbox up here. You can see the keys are still on. So you turn that off, and now it'll change cameras because those keys are actually putting what I want on the screen. And it's actually superseding what I have in this camera. So it's important to use macros when you're using all these keys because you want to determine what you want on and what you want off when you're live. And so obviously now that I'm demoing all this stuff, then I have to strip back layers in order to show you guys how this works. So let me cut back to camera 2, and then we'll zoom this back in. And so now I'm back in here, and because the green screen is all the way behind me, it looks like I'm in a regular camera angle. And that's what's really cool about these kind of things and these tools that we have. And this is the first time that I've done a live where I've used a green screen behind me, because in reality, I already have a set. I already have the window. I have lights that I've invested in, so I can kind of color the back of this room a lot better than you see it right now. This is an old photograph, so you're only seeing a little bit of light over here, and you're not seeing really any accent light over there. But it's so realistic, I can still grab my monitor and move it around, and it's just very deceptive because you don't know that back there about another 2 feet from my arm is a big green screen. And you can see that now, and I can reach all the way back here and almost touch it. And you want to get it that far away from you because as I put a light on it, that green can get on my back of my head. And if you've ever seen a really bad green screen, there's like a green line around people's heads. So in a minute, we're actually going to go and look at the keys in the software that we're using in the Chroma Key. But I want to see right now if there's any questions that you guys have rather than wait until the very end. Do you have any questions at all? Are you talking about, Adam, the logo that I have on the screen right here, right now? Adam says, in your monitor, the life's journey. Oh, in my monitor? You mean this one? Yeah, well, obviously, when I turn the green screen off, that green is going to begin to bleed through. This is not a pre-multiplied key. Sorry, this graphic right here below me, it's not pre-multiplied. There is no transparency. And obviously, that's going to be influenced by the green as well. And we'll have to do a test someday and look what pre-multiplied keys look like when you have a green screen, because it is impacted by what you have on behind you. So turn that back off. So that's the question. Yeah, the one behind me in the monitor, you're just seeing green bleed through it. It's not a pre-multiplied. There's no transparency, but it just still affects it because that green is so stark and I've put so much light on it. You know, you're really, it's like looking in, there's so much light on that green screen. It's like you're looking into a light. It does reflect light. That's why you got to be careful that you don't get spill over you. A lot of people will put a green screen 3 inches or 4 inches or 5 inches behind their chair, and you want to get that green screen. If I set this room up and I was going to use a green screen, I would probably have it all the way back by my window, except for if I need to do a wide shot, like I need 3 people in the set with me, then now I'm going to have to push myself closer to the green screen. And now you got to be really careful which way the light's reflecting. So one of the techniques of that is, if you shoot light straight at the green screen, then it's going to bounce straight back. It's like a bouncy ball. If I shoot green down, it's like my glasses. If I lean up, you can see my key light. But if I keep my head down, you can't see the reflection. You can do the same thing with the green screen. You can send the light down at the green screen. It still lights it up. But remember, it's going to be brighter from the top to the bottom. So a lot of people will shoot light up and they'll shoot light down, and then that light is bouncing away from the camera lens. So at the angle. So it's another trick of doing green screen. So if we look at this clip again from when I did this deal with my son, turn this back on again. So we can see the light was lighting both the green screen and the ground. I had to light the ground in that job that I was doing for him. It was his idea. He had this idea of what he wanted to do, some high key photo shots, which is like just white background. You've seen them before. Apple's known for using a lot of high key in their advertisements. But all those soft boxes had to be used to both light the green screen and light the ground and him. And I literally at one point had 4 different lights that I was using to light all of that set that you can see now behind me. So now I can drop other things behind me. Here's that original image that we used for him. He's in that one. He's not in this one. So now I'm out in the snow and man, it is cold. Man, you feel that breeze? Whew. Anyway, so let's change that. I can put the cable bridge behind me. This is a shot that I took here in the Tri-Cities. And we have this beautiful cable bridge, and it's absolutely drop dead gorgeous at night. And there's actually what they call Clover Island, a man-made island with a bunch of hotels and restaurants on it. So you can drive right out, climb down a hill, get down at the water level and take shots like this. It's absolutely gorgeous. There's an angle. Here is another angle. So again, wider shot. And then I can put mountains behind me, and I'm just dragging these photographs into my media player number 2, which is what I have in a key behind me. And it's full screen, so you're not seeing any of the border around there. And so I can take my regular background that I use for Super Source and put it behind me. I can put this lighthouse behind me, another shot that I took of the lighthouse. And I can actually put this shot that I shot at one of the venues I visited when I was looking at what local venues were doing. This happens to be a church that had really high-tech streaming equipment. And so I wanted to go see their whole background and see what they were doing. And there's actually musicians on the stage behind me, and I have permission to use these shots. I'm gonna go into my Elgato control app because I have the Elgato key lights, and let's turn off the main light. Let's turn off this light. Now the key is still doing okay because it's lit separately, but I don't look good. I don't match the scene back there. So now this is kind of the look you get when you turn these lights off in the middle of a live stream. But again, if the light's not right on the person, so again, this is the separation light. It's also a fill light. It kind of creates that halo around me, but it's also filling this side. And this is my key light. And so when I turn those on, my camera readjusts because I have it set for auto ISO. So my camera sensitivity is automatically adjusting. And I don't necessarily recommend that all the time because if you change lights or change cameras, a lot of times when you change those shots, it's hard to get those things to match. So I recommend you just do manual and set the ISO, get your lights set up, set your shutter speed, set your what film rate are you going to be? Are you going to be 29, 30 frames per second, 24 frames per second, 60 frames per second? You have to set all that stuff up, but I'm just using auto ISO, and then I have my aperture set, and I also have my shutter speed set those things don't move during a live stream. And my focus will be adjusted based on eye detect. So it should follow me, and sometimes it gets confused with my microphone. So again, I can put myself in those backgrounds. If you were on the, I think 2 weeks ago, I think I did my lights. So this is a recent shot. This was taken right here in my studio, and I had those lights in here in a live stream, and I talked about different types of lighting. And the different types of lighting, guys, does impact what's going to happen with the green screen. So these round lights create these round hot spots. So in reality, square LED lights with a good diffusion filter on them and even a diffusing softbox, it's really good light to use when you're doing a green screen, because you can have one on the left, one on the right, and it's square, and it's really easy to adjust those lights. So a lot of studios, you'll see they'll have barn doors, and I've had barn doors here on my channel before. Let's see, I think there's barn doors in this shot if you don't know what barn doors look like. So this light right here over my shoulder right there has barn doors, and that is, those barn doors are already on a square light. So it does help you to put barn doors on a round light. But you usually want to have a reflector like this one right here, and a reflector will brighten up the light so it can take that little LED light, and it actually helps increase the intensity of the light. And you can even do more features on a lot of these Bowens mount lights to make them even more like a spotlight. And you can narrow and broaden the beam using, like they would use a spotlight in the middle of a production. So the lights that you use and the light that you have on you makes a difference. So typically, if you're going to do green screen, you're going to do it right, you're going to need more lights. And you wonder why I have lots of lights, is because some of these lights I have available to me so that I can do green screen work. So I could go do green screen work. You can also take green screen outside. So you can use sunlight, and then you can just buy a big, gigantic diffuser, and you can actually use that like a giant softbox. So doing green screen outdoors, as long as you have some way of controlling the light, you know, you get free light when you're out there. Now the light is changing, and it might go behind a cloud, so it's going to limit you. I like studio lights, both inside and outside, because I can control the light and not have to stop shooting waiting for the cloud to go away. So we're going to look at the key here in just a minute. I want to just see if there's any other questions and give a shout out to Josh for jumping on. Laura Media is on here. Forrest Online, Doug Forrest, thanks for coming on tonight. I want to just say hi. David, thank you for joining us tonight. I'm going to go through right now and see if there's any questions I have missed. Yeah, so Adam, I do have 2 locations in my house. I have a 3-car garage, and the 3rd car garage, I can pull my car out, and that's where I have this setup right here. So literally all the cars are out of the garage for this shot, and that's my garage stuff on shelves behind it. I have a case right there, a tall rack where I put in all my soft boxes and things that aren't electronics, because my garage can get really hot. It was about 130 degrees inside my garage a few weeks ago because there's no airflow, there's no air conditioning, and that whole side of the house heats up. I do have 2 portable air conditioners that I can vent underneath my garage door. I literally take cardboard and I cut it out, and then I make it the same height and width as those window adapters for portable air conditioners. So they're square and long rectangle. So I'll put one of those, and then on the other side of the garage, a double car garage, I'll put the other one. I'll give you guys a picture someday of that when I do it again. And then I use cardboard in between, and then I'll throw some blankets or something up there, or like sound blankets, which are the same as packing blankets if you really want to know. So don't spend your money on expensive sound blankets when you can just go out and get some double ply, thick, matted moving blankets like you would get from U-Haul. And then I'll use that to help insulate the cardboard area. But what I'm really trying to do is just keep the sun and the heat out, and then I'll push up against the garage door. So I just bring the garage door down until it hits those plastic sliding deals that you can vent those air conditioners out because, again, they got to get the hot air out and blow it outside of the house or they don't work. And you could put a portable air conditioner in your garage. But I use my garage as auxiliary space. I've done my wife's whole photo shoot for her natural pain relief for labor manual, which is all high key photographs. We did it right in that studio. And then I brought those photos in here to do the editing in Photoshop. And so again, and you saw some of the high key photographs that I did in that opening video. So if you haven't seen that, my intro timer actually had a video playing of a video I have right here on my channel. In fact, you don't even have to go back and watch the intro of this. The full video is right here on my channel, and it has a picture of myself and my son, Nathan, on it, who's in behind me right now. And he and I did that whole video shoot, and I edited it and I put it on my channel so people could learn and grow that way. So yeah, I have this room and I have the garage. And then Adam, I also shot my whole wife's first season podcast by setting up right in my dining room. And I've showed pictures of that before. So I've used 3 rooms in my house. And my wife, during the COVID lockdown last year, had to do all her classes on Zoom. So her natural pain relief class, as well as her birth class, she did all those right in the middle of our living room. And I set up a live stream, and we didn't live stream it, but I set it up just like I set this up. And we were broadcasting on Zoom, just like when I bring you on or bring a guest in Zoom. I had my wife and her assistant doing their whole class right there in the living room. And we used a TV big screen behind them to show other things on video. And we did, I think, 2 classes when we could not go do live classes because of the lockdown here in Washington. So I'm thankful that I've learned how to do this stuff because it's paid off in a number of different ways. And obviously my only passion isn't being inside this room, 11 by 12. My passion is to get out and do some live shooting. In fact, I had a call from someone today, and I'll be meeting with them, and hopefully I'll get to do some more outdoor type events. So, okay. So, Tony says hi from Quick Tech. Hi, Tony. I think I already did that, but I'll say hi again. Again, Tony and I were on a video on Adam Tao's channel. So go look at that. We talked about ways of bringing guests in. Adam had everything set up and he hosted that. And Tony and I were on that, and we discussed how we bring guests in. And it was a great live event. And that's a video on Adam's channel right now. We ran into some challenges, but we're learning just like you guys are learning. And that's the cool thing about live. Morning to you, Josh. It must be the crack of dawn there. Thank you, David. So awesome. Thanks, Tony. Tony says, I had a really clean key and that he didn't know it. So yeah, I worked really hard to pull the wool or pull the green screen over your eyes, Tony. So I'm glad I pulled that off, and I'm doing it again right now. This is actually not a live shot behind me. That's a photograph behind me. So I remember a Peter McKinnon video. Shout out to Peter McKinnon. He's been one of my online mentors. Never met him personally. We've never had a conversation. But I've learned so much from his channel. And one of the things I remember him saying, that he had a new background in his new studio, and it looked like a green screen shot. It wasn't. It was a shelf with racks of cameras, but because of the angle, and it was right behind him, and it was really close, everybody was accusing him of it being a green screen. So he quit using that set. It wasn't a green screen. It was literally a live background. And if you go back in some of his videos, you can see that whole story. So here he is not even using green screen techniques, and yet he's getting called out on social media, on YouTube, by a bunch of people going, that's a green screen, that's a green screen. So it's hilarious that stuff like that happens. And so all of a sudden I lost all my lights and something was wrong in here. I could use this photograph that's already lit, as long as I can still light the green screen behind me. So let's do one more thing. Oh, let's see, any more questions? So Josh Ash says, I have both Elgato key lights, thinking brighter down and softer facing up. So yeah, they are probably brighter down and softer facing up. And again, if you have them facing up, you're going to lose some of this shadow and contrast. And I'm working on getting rid of my double chin. So we had a conversation a couple weeks ago, and I pretty well told my double chin, you need to get out. And so I haven't completely evicted it, but I'm working on it. So let's see. So Josh also picked up the Elgato green screen, reading into the future as I was going to start looking at how to use it properly. Yeah, so let's just address that real quick, Josh. Great comment. There's a use for green screen, right? And think about it. There is. Let's say that you just got back from a trip to Carlsbad, right? And you want to do an intro video for your live audience, and you just shoot the entrance of Carlsbad and people are walking by, and you have that footage, and you realize when you're at Carlsbad, you didn't do the intro. You forgot to do the intro, right? And you got this whole video, and now you go, what do you do? Well, that's a use for a green screen. You have that video footage that you took, right? We're all taking footage. We can do it with our camera. We can do it with our camera. And you get all this, what we call B-roll, right? B-roll is not A-roll. A-roll would be like the talking person, the interview. I mean, the characters are always in the shot and they're communicating typically. That's typically A-roll. Those are argument about that. B-roll is all of that filler stuff, right? The car whizzing by, the shot overhead from the drone as the car is racing down and being chased, and you cut to that B shot to give action and show direction and all that stuff. Then you cut back to the face of the actors in the car intensely. You cut to them shifting and all that stuff. You don't see them, you just see their hand. That's B-roll. So you use that footage that you shoot all the time, and you can reproduce those shots if you properly know how to use a green screen. So I think it's like any other tool. You don't want to overuse it. There was a time where everybody discovered gimbals, right? They had the weighted gimbals, and then the DJI gimbals came out. Everybody was shooting these stabilized shots, right? And they were everywhere. And then someone else came out with these whip pans, right? So you whip this way, and then you start over here in the other shot, and you whip that way, and you cut them together. You see all these things, these new things that surface, like everybody's buying an ATEM, right? An ATEM Mini or a YOLO box, and everybody runs for this trend. I think you have to know when to use it and when not to use it. So that is one use for a green screen, because you want to tell the story and you want to put people in that location. So I could pull out my footage right now when I was taking those photographs at the Oregon coast, and I could do an intro to shooting those photographs, and then bring people into my studio, show some shots of the Oregon coast, the seagulls flying over, the waves coming in, and then cut back to my studio and show how I edited those photographs. What that does is that pulls people in, and you could use a green screen for that if you only had footage and you don't have any talking head footage of you. So bringing yourself in with green screen, using the key to take yourself in and out of the shot, and putting that video behind you. So how would I put video behind you? I would use my hyperdeck, right? And I would use it as my source. Right now I'm using Media Player 1 for this source, but I could put my hyperdeck behind me too. So if I go to key 2 and I change this to my hyperdeck, right? So now I have my hyperdeck video behind me. So let me play it. So it's playing, and obviously I still have the audio turned on so you guys can hear the audio. So I can put my hyperdeck behind me. So this could be a video of the Oregon coast, and I could be standing up, and I got to make sure the light on me matches the light in the Oregon coast. And I put that light on the green screen. It's got to go on that green screen. That green screen and me has to match what's going on there. So let me see if I have a sample here real quickly, guys. Yeah, let me drop a different, now let's see. This is probably the best image. So if I drop this image back in, turn the key back on, and I'm using key number 2 to put that image behind me. Oh, right, that's the video, and I have my hyperdeck on auto roll. So we got to change back from the hyperdeck to Media Player 2. So that, I'm not quite lit bright enough for this scene. I hope you can see that. This is snow. This is bright snow. I need to be a lot brighter. So that's why I like to be able to adjust my lights right in my studio. So I'm going to open my Elgato app, and there's 3 lights that are coming up. The top one is my son, so I can turn his light off and on right now. We swore to each other we would not do that. But I can turn these lights on and off again. So that light right here is designed to fill me up. And that's good light. It's a little bright right now, but that's because I want to be able to change cameras and look at that angle. So it's a key light, and it's a fill light, and it's also kind of a hair light, which is what I call them. There's lots of other names for a light overhead. So now this is this main light on me. So I'm telling you, I don't think it's bright enough for this shot with the ISO, right? So it's automatically, my ISO on my camera is adjusting for all the light. So there's more light behind me than there is on me. So I'm kind of dark, and it's the same thing that happens if you walk out on a beach and you try to take a picture of someone with the sun behind you, and they're like dark. They look like this. Because your camera doesn't know how to expose for both unless you use the feature called HDR. And HDR takes more than one exposure and puts it together. In fact, that's what that feature is on your iPhone. And my Canon 5D Mark IV and my EOS R will shoot in HDR. So it takes 2 exposures at the same time, and it gets a better look. It gets more, it focuses on me, and it also exposes for me, and it also exposes for the background. But I'm not using HDR right now, so I need to make it feel like I'm in the a hot day out in the cold. So I need to have a little wind blowing on me, and if this was video, you would see the wind blowing behind me. So you add that as effect. You could add a little bit of powder, like if I had someone ski by me, someone could spray a little fake smoke, you know, like fake whatever you'd use in theater, or you could have a little fog going on so it's filling the air like you would see in a concert. So that mist would be in the air. But in a day like today, it's bright and it's shiny. I need more light on me. I may even need more light on my green screen. In fact, my green screen is just a little dark too. So you have to adjust the light for what you have behind you. So, and remember, I have the light designed specifically to try to fool you guys for this shot right here. And according to Tony, who is the expert here tonight, at least I'm going to give you expert status. You said I did a good job with this key and it fooled you. And that's because you have to light for the scene. And that's why it's going to be important to have a monitor. It's going to be important for you to actually look at it. So I'll look at more questions here in a minute. Let's go ahead and go to Super Source. I think it's this one. So let me do this. Let's see. What do I have on this one? Okay, that's better. So you can see me in this, and I can change what's in the program view so that you guys could see the multi-view just once, but now you're seeing it twice, but you can also see me up there in the screen. But so I have, as you can see in this multi-view, I have, and I can choose what's on the screen, because with the ATEM Mini Extreme and the Extreme ISO, you can actually change the layouts to your multi-view. And so I can actually go in here in the bottom screen right here. I can go into the settings right here, the bottom little settings wheel at the bottom left, and I can change what I show you guys. So I can put not my program view up here, I can put my preview up here. So now you can see the key, right? You can see that I'm green in camera 2 because that's what camera 2 sees. It sees just that green image. And let's bring camera 2 up here. It's one of the things I love about this matrix that's built into output 1 and 2 out of your 2 HDMI outs in your Extreme ISO. If you own an ATEM Mini Pro, ATEM Mini Pro ISO, they only have one HDMI out and it's multi-view, and then you can change it to program in each camera as well. So it has a matrix, but I really like the feature of this. So right now, normally I'd have it programmed to see what you guys are seeing, but I can choose like camera 2. So this is what camera 2 sees. It sees that. It just sees green. So if I don't put the key, add the key to that to get rid of the green and put the background behind me, then it's not going to work. So, so again, that's just a look at some of the things that's happening in my multi-view. So you can see camera 1 is this shot, this camera over here where I put my hand, and then camera 2 is this shot right here, and I have the green screen behind me, and the green screen's angled so it's not behind camera 1. That's part of the trick here in the studio. And then below me in this shot, I have the still image, and so I can change the still image right now by going into my media pool. So let me say done with that. I'm going to bring in this other image behind me, and so you can see that that I'm bringing in a different image behind me, but I don't. I have the media player, which is right here next to me. So the media player, sorry, it's hard to point. The media player is right there, and that's the photograph I have back there. So as I change those photographs, they're in media player too, and that's what's dropping in the background when I'm in the other angle and I'm keying. So let's do this. Let's go back into the switcher here, and I don't, Adam, I should go into super source here, and do I dare use the increase? I'm going to mess up my macros, so I'm not touching this. So again, this is the key. So if I turn these on and off, there you go. That's key number 3, which is the green screen and me keyed out. That's the image. I'm turning on key number 2. Key number 1, I'm not using right now. And key number 4 is the logo below me. So if we strip these away, you can see the setups right here. So if you go over here to this key right here, and I go into the settings, so that's key number 2. So over here under palettes on the left-hand side, let's get me out of here. Over here on palettes on the left-hand side in the software, let's just go ahead and bring this full screen, and you guys can just listen to me as I talk about this. So my desktop is number 4. So let me bring number 4 up. So right up here, and there's my macros. I'm using this. I'll pull that off screen. So here's the Upstream Key 1, which I told you guys I'm not using. Upstream Key 2, which I am using. You can see that it's set on Media Player, and that's where I'm getting that graphic behind me. And then, and so you can see it's set to Media Player 2. And if I go into my Media Player, that's what's in there right now. And I could drag in the background that I opened the show with. So go back to my switcher settings. Let's leave key number 2 because that's just the image and it's full screen. Again, it's not pre-multiplied. I don't have it masked, and it's not pre-multiplied. And then here, guys, is this key. So this is the key that I have set on Chroma. And so let me go back now to that Chroma key and bring it on the screen. And now I'm going to mess it up. Are you ready for this? Here we go. I'm running the slider. See right here over my shoulder? I am moving this slider. That slider is called the foreground. And this is an adjustment that you have to make. And I played with this for probably about 5 or 10 minutes. You obviously have to choose the green. So I'll get me out of here again. So that's the color. And I did a sample right from the background right here. So if you click on the green, I can tell this box where I want it to sample the green on the screen. I don't want it to sample me, and we know that I'm right in the middle of the image. So I want to do this hot spot kind of right up here above my head. And then I want to turn that off. And then that is now the green that I am using to key myself out. And that's probably not exactly the same green I was using earlier. So I'm just sliding this because now I've told this key in the Chroma key. I'm not in Luma key. Watch what happens to my image if I switch to Lumetri. I'm gone. I can't key myself out if I'm not in Chroma key. So in Chroma key, on my Upstream Key 3, and if you have an ATEM Mini Pro, ATEM Mini Pro ISO, you're going to use the only Upstream key you have. And you're going to go into the settings in your palettes, and you're going to click on your one Upstream key, and then you are going to set it up under Chroma. Now, under Chroma, I have to tell it what camera I'm keying out. So I'll take myself off again, and this is the setting right here for what camera I'm using. I got camera 1, I got camera 2, and I've got my Canon 5D Mark III, my Skycam, but I want to key out the green screen behind my camera number 2, which is my 5D Mark IV. So I choose that, turn that key back on, and there I am. So right now you're seeing my desktop behind me. So I can put my desktop behind me if I wanted to. I can put anything behind me. I can put pictures behind me. I can put my hyperdeck behind me, and that's what you use these keys for. And I would do that on a different key, right? I would do that on a key like this, key number 2. Right now, I don't need to do it because I'm placing me over top of my desktop. And I'm not going to go into all the details on how to do that tonight, but I have to have a good, appropriate key to make myself look good. And right now, if you notice, my green screen looks in the Chroma key, it looks white because that's just part of the adjustment, right? So as you play with these sliders, so this is the foreground, here's the background slider. I can adjust it. I can adjust the key edge, and that's the edge of the key. You can see how that's adjusted, and you can see the hotspot behind me now. It's sparkly, and that's the problem with those hotspots. You really have to adjust the key to get rid of that. So if I adjust the top slider again, I can get some of that, that sparkle to go away, and then I can bring back the second slider, and then eventually I can rekey this the way it was keyed originally and adjust it until I have a good key. And you can actually see on this side sparkling and a little bit in my glasses and my hair. So it's, you got to play with this. You have to adjust it, and you have to make it work for you. And that's how you use the Chroma Key feature. So Luma is all about adjusting the light in the key, and that would be like your graphic that you're going to have on this in. I'm using key number 4, and I'm going to use the Luma feature. And if I go into key number 4, let's bring up my desktop again here by turning this key off. So if I go up here to key number 4, which is right here, let me move my monitor out of the way. So right here, take myself out of it again. So I go to key number 4 and open it up, and it's using my media player. And the media player is getting the image right here. This is the image I'm using. So if I was to drop this image over there, you're going to get my web page. And if I drop this image over there, you're going to get that. And then if I want to use this bug, you're going to get the graphic up and down on the screen. And but this is the graphic that I want to adjust. And so if I go in here, I'm going to turn myself back on here again. Sorry, this picture. So if I adjust this lumens right here, watch what happens to the screen. I'm actually adjusting the screen. So if I don't have a pre-multiplied key, I can clear, like Adam was talking about that graphic. It's not a pre-multiplied graphic. So I actually have to make adjustments here with these Luma sliders. So same kind of adjustments that I have to make when I'm using my Chroma key. So again, getting a good image, all of that has to be adjusted. So you have Luma key and you have Chroma key. And then if you look back at those features again, sorry, I'm disappearing. If you look back at these features again, you can see I have Chroma on. If I go back to, let's go to a key I'm not using. Let's go to key number 1. I have it set for Luma. I can go over here and do pattern. So I have these different patterns. I can put myself inside a pattern. I can also do my DVE, and this is how you would do picture in picture. So if I was using my DVE 4, instead of what I'm doing here, so let's put in camera 4 in the DVE, and I can bring myself, instead of this logo, I can bring that camera into the screen if I didn't want to have my logo on right now. So, and I can do that in my downstream keys too. I can turn this off and I can go down here to my downstream keys. I don't have a chroma feature. I don't have anything but the ability to play some different source inside this key. So if I chose camera 3, which just timed out, let's turn it back on. So if I chose that and then I brought on, let's see, that's downstream key 1. If I brought that on, you can see it's just an image right down there because it's using the same space as I was using for my key when I had it on. So I'd have to adjust that to get things set up to be able to use that. So we'll go back to Media Player 2. We're going to turn that off. And so tonight we're talking about green screen. We're talking about the the Chroma key and how you use those to make the background go away. And again, you can put whatever you have behind you. Obviously, if I have my desktop behind me, I don't have to light it. My PC has already done that. But if I want to put something like this behind me, then I have to light the green screen, and it needs to match this image back here because it really is adding light to what you see and the ability for me to adjust it to get the perfect key. If I didn't have any light on that back there, it's harder to get a real good key. And that's the last thing I wanted to show you guys tonight. If I can find, here it is. So this is the controller for my green screen. So let's turn off, let's do this. Let's go back to macros. Let's go into this shot right there. And so if I turn that off and I turn off my lights that are my one light that's lighting that green screen behind me, then this is what happens. And you can see that this key isn't the same. So now if I turn this back on, look what you have. So this light is important. I've got to light the green screen behind me to get a clean key. So, man, I feel like I've been talking too long, guys. I apologize. So take a sip of that. Let's go to the questions and let's see what you guys have to say here tonight. So, cool. Lori says that's the next step for my studio here in Barbados. Wow, welcome from Barbados. This may be the first experience that I've had. So I got to change something here. My multi-view is not showing my program out, so I can make sure you guys are seeing the right thing. How often do you have to replace, swap out the green screen roll? So Adam, if you take care of it, you don't ever have to swap it out. Now, if you use it outside, sunlight can slowly, or window light can slowly bleach out the color. But I keep mine in my garage with no windows, rolled up. And I've had this particular green screen. I think it cost me like $60, $70 for that roll. And I've cut off pieces. I have a white roll right now that I've used up. I need to replace it. I have enough to still shoot, but when I pull it out and put it all the way on the floor, like I did with that video with Nathan, with Nathan, my second oldest son, we were walking on it and stepping on it, and we got it dirty. In fact, right now, believe it or not, there's a footprint up on my green screen. Let's see if I can show you guys the footprint. Done. Nope, wrong one. Can I show you that? Literally, there's a footprint right up there. You can actually see a little spot up there, I think. Because I'm lighting it, it's the light is taking away that spot. But again, that's really important. What you see behind me right now is a key turned on. So that's where that key number 1 is. So I'm turning that off because I'm not using it. And you can see when I have the green screen on, I can turn my chair around because the light is hitting my chair and it's keying it out. Now there you see, I'm losing a little of the key right there on my chair. And that's totally about the light hitting my chair. So when you're doing a movie or something like that, you're constantly having to look at that monitor and make sure you're getting a really good key. Or you're going to have to do it. You can do it in Adobe Premiere. As long as you shoot with a green screen and you light it properly, you can come in later and layer things and then do an ultra key on your top layer, which is you, right? This is the top layer. This is me right here. So you do an ultra key here. You take a dropper, and that's what Nathan and I did when we shot that video in the garage. I brought it into Adobe Premiere. You could use Final Cut Pro. You use an ultra key effect on it. You take a dropper and tell it what you want, what color you want to remove. And that dropper removes that color, and you sample the color. No different than what I did when we were in this view right here. Sorry. I have to change too many things to get back. But my desktop, right, the software, you've got to turn on that tester to get a sample of the green, which you have right inside the Chroma Key feature. And once you get the green that you want, it's going to use that to key out the background. And then I can actually crop myself in. So if I had a 10-foot wide or 20-foot wide green screen, and I'm only going to be moving around on one section of it, I can crop just that section out, and then I don't have to worry about keying out the sides. I can just remove the sides by cropping it out. And it's the same thing that we do when we do a DVE, right? Picture in picture. We're cropping out everything else. I can crop out just me. Like if I go back to Super Source here, you can see that my frame right here is cropped out. You can do the same thing in the Chroma Key feature. You can crop out everything. Now I'm moving past where my frame is, and that's not going to work if you're trying to get a good key. You have to crop only in the area that no one's moving. And so that's part of what you have to do when you're using the Chroma Key feature. So you can crop out the areas of the green screen you're not using, but every area that you're going to walk in front of, you're going to have to make sure that you keep the green screen behind you at all times. Now, I shared how in the new, like in the new Star Wars trilogy, not Boba Fett, Mandalorian, they're using actual monitors behind them. They're not using a green screen. They're literally projecting all around them. And that's kind of where the industry is going. A lot more people are going to get rid of a green screen. They're just going to put a really high-end 8K monitor, and that's what they're doing in at Disney to shoot The Mandalorian. They're actually, he's moving around a set that's wrapped with giant screen televisions. And then the team is changing the lighting and structuring the lighting. They're using the Unreal Engine, and they're relighting the scenes before they roll to make sure that the light that they put on the actor and on the set, because there's a live set and live actors, they want to have that color and the sun angle match in the background. And it's the same thing. I've got to light the green screen. They're actually changing the light in the Unreal Engine. And I want to do that here on the channel as well. I want to do an Unreal scene behind me. And I also want it to move. I want my camera to move, and the background is going to move as my camera moves. It will be absolutely amazing when we get a chance to do those kind of crazy things here on the channel. So, and I plan on doing that. I have to learn how to edit in the Unreal Engine, and that's in my future. So, yeah, so Josh says I have blur and noise around my hands. I'm only shooting at 29.97 frames per second, so you're going to get a little blur. And that also, it's got to key me live. So the more you move around in the scene, the better your key and the better your lighting has to be. Remember, if my lighting on my hand changes, the key is not going to work as effectively. So the light on you and the light on your green screen is so important. Now you can understand why companies like Disney are spending the millions of dollars to have the ability to put light on the set on giant monitors rather than having to use a green screen and key out the background. So good comment, Josh. Thank you for that. Tony again from Quick Tech Solutions says, I have a great key going on. Comment to the expert I said earlier. Key light and key light air. are models of the Elgato key lights. The Air is half the brightness of a key light. So not everybody needs these the brightness of these lights. So the key light Air is less money. It's not half the price, but it has about half the light. And they're really cool. You can use the Extreme Deck by Elgato to operate those lights. So there's really cool features to be able to use that to automate them in your studio. So cool. Let me see if there's any other questions. Back up here. Australia here. Awesome. Josh, I know Freddie's from Venezuela. I'm from Richland. Adam, shout out to the Bay Area, San Francisco area. Josh, random. Let's see. Josh, random question for Keith. Would 2x ATEM Mini ISO do the same as 1 ATEM Mini Extreme? No, it wouldn't. Some things, right? If you had 2 of those, you would have 4 inputs in one, 4 inputs in the other one, but they're not integrated. I mean, the control software, you'd have to have control software opened up for one, and you'd also change over to the other one. If you ever watch Aaron Parecki, a lot of times he'll change what ATEM in his studio he's controlling. I think he has a Pro, ATEM Mini Pro, and he also has the Extreme ISO like I do, and he'll use them both. I'm using them both right now. I use my ATEM Mini Pro as a monitor matrix, so I can send the input out of my HDMI in or out of my Extreme, because I have 2 HDMI outs. I can send one of those to my ATEM Mini Pro, and then I can come out of my Pro and go to my monitors in the studio. And then if I wanted to stream on Facebook at the same time as I'm streaming to you guys on YouTube, technically I could take the program out, which you guys are seeing, and stream it to Facebook. But again, that would be something I've only done once, and I'm really using it as a matrix. So you really want to get an Extreme, because an Extreme would have 4 downstream keys or upstream keys, 2 DV or downstream keys. You also have macro controls on the front of it, so I can actually do 6 of my macros on the front of it. That's great for a live event if you don't have a laptop there. It also has 2 HDMI outs, and you'd have an HDMI out of the first one and the second one, but it's not the same as having 2 come out of the same unit. You also have 1 USB-C in each one of those. The ATEM Mini Extreme and the ATEM Mini Extreme ISO has 2 USB-Cs out. So I'm using one of those in my PC laptop as a web camera all the time, and I'm using the other one to record, even though I'm not recording tonight. I'm doing all this live, so whatever you see on YouTube is what you're going to get. But I could push record right now and record all of the ISO tracks, because this is an ISO and it records every single input. It'll also copy everything that's in my media player, and it'll make an XML file with all of my transitions. And if I don't like those, I could change them later in DaVinci Resolve, or I could bring in each one of those recordings, my Skycam, right, which is camera number 3, this camera number 2, and whatever I've been putting on in the show, like my multi-view, whatever I drop into the show, or even my desktop, all of those inputs would be recorded on an ISO. It's not recorded on the non-ISO versions of the ATEM Minis or the ATEM Mini Extreme. If you don't get the ISO, you're only recording the program out, which is what you're seeing right now. So the cool thing about that is I can shoot a video in here, use a Mix Effect app, sitting at my table, roll all the cameras, record all of those different inputs into my ATEM Mini Extreme ISO, and then edit it all later if I want to. So that's a great feature. Or I can do live transitions, and if I don't like one of those, I can bring in the ISO files later and fix that. So, okay, so I want to look at the time here. I promised myself I would not take you guys longer than an hour and 20 minutes. So we have 7 minutes left. So if you have any questions, anything you think I haven't covered, anything you're curious about, and if you haven't learned about keys, I have a video coming out to talk about pre-multiplied keys. Hopefully I'll get that edited later this week, and you might see that very soon. Don't miss the video I just posted on here. One of my fastest, shortest videos I've done in a while. I kind of poked fun at the YouTube algorithm and how my channel has slowed down. So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe tonight. And I appreciate it very much. So any other questions? I got Josh's random question. Alori Media says, LOL, I try to watch your videos first time live. Cool. I hope it's not been a bad experience. So if it is, I apologize. Hopefully you can get some oxygen, maybe a towel, and you can lay down for a while if I'm too intense. So Josh asked, the ATEM Mini ISO is 1100 and the Extreme ISO is 2100 in your area. Yeah, and here's the deal. I said this on Adam's show. Go over and watch that last week when we were on. I was on with Tony from Quick Tech Solutions, Life Journey Production Studios with Adam Tao, the designer of Mix Effects. And I said that there, I'll say it again tonight. I don't do these videos to have you run out and buy these products. If you do, and you find a link on my channel and you use those Amazon affiliate links, thank you. That helps our channel. You don't pay more, but I thank you for that, because that's the only way that I have extra funds to be able to buy extra things and review those. But I do this because I'm using these tools. I want other people to learn how to use the tools if they don't know how. I'm learning from people all over YouTube, and I'm growing my channel, and hopefully one day I will get some income coming in from advertisement. You know, you have to be over 1,000 subscribers and X amount of hours to do that. And Adam has already hit that mark. And some of the other people I've listened to have just hit that over 1,000 subscribers, but you also have to hit the actual hours, watch hours. So I appreciate you guys watching the videos, but most of all, I want to help people because I had to learn all this stuff hands-on and watching YouTube videos. It's been a great place to get educated. I've learned so much about photography, other people's passions, but you got to decide what you want to spend your money on. I'm just telling you, the Extreme has a lot of the problems solved, and there's certain things you can do if you double up, but it's not going to be the same as if you get an Extreme, and the Extreme ISO has that one extra bell whistle, which is it records every single input plus a recording of your media pool, and it automatically makes that XML file if you have it set to record ISO tracks, which is right inside the control software in your output section. You got to turn on ISO tracks, or it's only, which is great, if you only want to record the program out like you do if you have an ATEM Mini Extreme or an ATEM Mini Pro. If you only want to record the program out in an ISO, you can do that, which is great because it does take up disk space. So don't buy these things unless they're solving your problem, and don't do green screen unless it's solving your problem, because I could take that thing down, which we're going to do as I say goodbye, and I can just use the window behind me. In fact, if you wonder, this key keeps turning on, not that one, this one. If you wonder what this looks like, let's just do it right now. Does this shot look familiar? If you've been on my channel before, this is the shot you typically see. That's my big screen TV. This used to be a man cave, and then we decided that we were going to turn it into a studio. So this has a picture feature, so I can turn that on and have it playing behind me. So it's just, this is typically how I'm set up. You can see my lights are a little bit overexposed back there because I set up tonight for a green screen. I did not set up for this typical view. So Actually, this is what I normally do when I'm shooting, and it's all about light. The light that I needed on me for the green screen is different than the light I need in this show. So, man, I appreciate you guys being on here. Freddie shouts out too. It's good to see you, Freddie, for being on here tonight. I appreciate it. He shouts out to Adam for hitting 1,000 subscribers. That's awesome. Adam did that a few weeks ago. That's great. Did you answer the question about getting your keyed video into SuperSource? Not possible with stock Extreme unless you use the DVE or if you have two extremes tied together. Yeah, so again, that's one of those things. So you got to look in the limits, because when you have less keys, you are limited. And so, no, I really didn't talk about that, Adam. I don't want to confuse things too much, but you definitely want to be able to do some of the things that I was doing tonight. Then you're going to want to have more. You're going to want to have an Extreme, or there's other units that you can get from Blackmagic that are even more expensive that have the ability to do those things as well. So, and you don't add features when you get Mix Effects, the app. So if you're going to use SuperSource as well, and that's something I should have said, Adam, thank you for jogging my mind. You don't have SuperSource in the older ATEMs, and SuperSource is super important. If you want to have guests and have multiple people on the screen, and this is SuperSource right here that I cut to. So this is just built into the Extreme and the Extreme ISO, and I can have 4 boxes up there, or I can have more. So if I want to turn on box number 4 right now in SuperSource, I can go in here right now, and I could turn and enable box number 4. And right now you can see box number 4 is behind me. So you can't do this if you don't have an Extreme or Extreme ISO. So keep that in mind when you are making your decision. So, so now if I turn the keys off, part of the challenge with what you guys are seeing is just what my setup looks like with the way I lit it. So I need to light this differently now in order to help you guys out. So here's the other thing too. I usually have that light off, which is my overhead lights. I have a track light in here that has regular LED bulbs in it. And I usually have those off in my live streams. And I also usually have my MC lights by Aperture up there, and I have them in this other shot tonight. So I have my Aperture lights up here on the shelf behind me and over there. So because I was going to cut to this angle, and I don't have enough to do the shelves and to do the other angle, to do this angle and have them up on that corner shelf over my shoulder there. So, well, I think I've answered all the questions. Thank you, Adam, for that catch. Can you quickly explain what a pre-multiplied means? Okay. Can I quickly? So pre-multiplied, and you can go into my my Hyperdeck mini series. I cover pre-multiplied in there. Well, you have the ability when you're doing a transparent graphic like this, and there's no transparency in this. A pre-multiplied key, if I wanted to make the yellow transparent and maybe even the light bulb transparent, or let's say this was a motion graphic and I wanted to have it fly across the screen. I think I have one in here in my key here. Let's see. Go to my downstream key here. Hyperdeck. So this key right here is bringing in a pre-multiplied graphic. See the transparency in it? So watch what happens when I turn pre-multiplied off. And if you go to your upstream keys, key number 1, if you have an ATEM Mini, ATEM Mini Pro, ATEM Mini Pro ISO, there's only one upstream key. If you go in there under the Luma setting, you're going to see down in the options a little checkbox called pre-multiplied. If you're going to make a pre-multiplied graphic, you can do that in Photoshop. You can click on pre-multiplied. And what that does is it creates kind of a cutout. It's almost kind of like what we did tonight. I made the green go away. it does something similar to that, and it does a cut around there. So watch what happens when I animate this graphic without it's a pre-multiplied graphic. It's a motion pre-multiplied graphic, which I talk about in my HyperDeck series right here on the channel. Now if I hit play, obviously I want you to subscribe, so that was accidental. But now you can see it's not working. I can run the sliders like I did before and play with this. Let's just try to play with this a little bit with the sliders and make it look better. Let's go back and play it one more time. Come on. Here it comes. Let me hit loop. If you push play twice on a HyperDeck, it loops. So I can play with these sliders and try to get it looking better, but pre-multiplied just makes it look right. So this is a pre-multiplied key, and you can see it's got a transparent shadow, and it's transparent, and it just does not work. So that's as quick as a demo as I can give you on what that's all about. Again, guys, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, hit the thumbs up. I appreciate that very much. And I'll do more videos like this. I hope you learned something tonight. Again, I apologize for the brightness in the background. I'd have to make some major setting changes here to get that fixed. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope that helped. Keys are only with the Extreme and the Extreme ISO. Nope, you have an upstream key and a downstream key, one of each, in the ATEM Mini, ATEM Mini Pro, ATEM Mini Pro ISO. They have 4 inputs, 1 HDMI output, 1 USB-C output. You can use that USB-C to record to a disk, or you can use it to bring in a web camera into your Mac or your PC so that you could actually use Zoom or some other software and use your really nice cameras that you have plugged into your ATEM Mini. And that ATEM Mini can be a webcam. The ATEM Mini doesn't do any recording or encoding in it, so you can't broadcast from an ATEM Mini. But the Pro, ATEM Mini Pro, ATEM Mini Pro ISO, you actually have an encoder in it, and you can broadcast right through the internet, right from the device. So I could go to a venue, plug in my Ethernet cable in their Ethernet, and I could broadcast around the world right from the deck using the control software. With an ATEM Mini, I have to actually come out of the HDMI out and record to a encoder, and then I have to have some kind of streaming device like the web presenter, right? Or I could come out of the USB-C into my PC and use OBS or some software like that. And so I will wrap up tonight with that response. And again, guys, I hope you will subscribe to the channel. I appreciate everybody very much. And it makes a big difference when people do support the channel by hitting the like button, as well as all the other things that you can do to be reminded that something else is about to happen on the channel. So thank you so much for tuning in to Life Journey Production Studios. This is Tuesday night, live, 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. We have people here tonight. Thank you so much from around the world. I am absolutely honored. Only in our day and age with this kind of technology could we be around the world. Could I join Adam in his studio like we did with Tony on Saturday? That was amazing. And even if there's technical difficulties, the coolest thing about that is we were hanging out in the airwaves, and we're right there on the same screen. And, you know, it's funny. And I could have poked fun at Adam or Tony and made a joke. You know, there's all kinds of cool stuff that happens when we're together and we're not just in a chat. So I loved it. Thank you guys so much for allowing me to be a part of that. And we look forward to having Tony and Adam here on this channel someday, and maybe vice versa. So guys, thank you so much. Have a wonderful week. Please stay safe. We're living in an interesting season, interesting time. Keep your chin up, keep your heart right, keep your attitude up, continue to grow, continue to learn, continue to expand. Don't sit back, continue to grow, because that's the one thing that we all have control on, is learning and growing together and helping each other out and encouraging each other. And hopefully I can put a smile on your face tonight. Being in the Batcave for me in the middle of tonight's live stream put a smile on my face. So until next time, I'm Keith. This is Life Journey Production Studios, and I'll see you next Tuesday and probably in a video here on the channel very, very soon. And with that, as I've always said, I'm using Mix Effect remotely, not touching my ATEM. And there is my outro. better not hit the intro, and we're out.